Hello, everyone. This is Greg, your host of Goddamn GameCube. Welcome to Season 3. If you enjoy listening to our show, consider subscribing to us on YouTube for exclusive video content. Thank you and enjoy today's episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Goddamn GameCube. Greg and Beppe are your hosts today. My brother, Nick the Intern, has joined us once again. Hello, Nick. Welcome back.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me back. It's good to be back from behind the scenes.
So, today we are talking about Journey and Abzu, two games that I think really pushed forward the idea of games as art, which sounds like a very archaic thing to say in 2022. But when these games came out, Journey especially, I think Journey pushed that idea forward and helped video games as a medium maybe go into the mainstream and maybe fight back against that. Are video games art? Are they not? So we're going to break down them both. So Beppe, go ahead. Take it away.
Sure. Might be a little bit surprising for our guests that we're covering these after, we had all that Metal Gear, we had Halo. Getting into some nice, quiet, gentle indie games here.
Yep.
When did you guys first play Journey?
So this is really strange, and it's totally like, it was not on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I played Journey literally 10 years ago last week. Journey was the first, also this is very like anachronistic. Journey was the first game I ever downloaded on a PlayStation that I bought a code for instead of buying a disc.
That's interesting.
Yeah, cool. Isn't that so weird to even think about?
PlayStation 3, right?
PlayStation 3.
So,
cool.
And I first played 2 days ago.
Right.
Yeah, I should say. So in preparation for this episode, Nick and I played Journey and Abzu together on the couch.
Very
That's right.
sweet. Very sweet.
Very sweet.
So this was 2012. Were you familiar with their previous games, Flow or Flower?
No. So I didn't play either one.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Flow and Flower were either college projects by Genova Chen, or at least that's where they started. I could be incorrect.
Yeah, that
but I did
right.
not play them.
I haven't played them either. Maybe one day we'll do a little bit on those, but those are their first couple games. And I didn't know that this one was like in the works for a while. Like 2007 was when it started, I think.
Oh, wow.
So it took them a while to get off the ground. You did mention Genova Chen is kind of like the genius behind all this stuff. I was reading a little bit about his intent with this game, created to have more of a beyond the typical, defeat, kill, win objective. I think it succeeds in that respect, but there was a lot of kind of, it is a very abstract experience. Mm-hmm. So as you can imagine, I think it went through a lot of different iterations before it actually came together as we know it. They ascribe to an interesting philosophy, which I hadn't heard of, which was the Japanese garden, where you take away anything that feels like it doesn't fit. And I think that is probably why it's very minimalist.
Yeah.
I was about to use that word, yeah.
And I think it's something about it is that the limitations of this game is really what makes it so universal. And it pretty much, I think if you put this in front of like the vast majority of people, they would take away like the intended message and experience.
Yeah, and I think it really shouldn't be understated that when this came out, this was a very new thing for indie games, for console games.
Yeah,
I feel like you could probably point at examples today of so many indie games or games that look amazing that maybe have what's the word, like deeper meanings or behind the symbolism or what the game looks like.
Yeah,
but I think it shouldn't be understated. In 2012, this was a very new thing.
Yeah,
for the industry.
Yeah. Well, we had like Braid in 2008. We had Limbo in 2010.
Yep.
But they weren't like. I think Journey won like the IGN Game of the Year or something like that.
Yeah. Also, what's really interesting to note here too is that the composer of Journey is Austin Wintory, and he was nominated for a Grammy for Journey.
Yes.
I believe that was the first time ever a video game soundtrack was nominated. Very big for the business and
rightly
very good
so.
for gamers in general.
So I have a question. Is that like a common occurrence now? Video game composers getting Grammys or nominated for anything?
I don't know. I think there's an interactive media category now. I could be wrong. There are people who are more knowledgeable on the Grammys than me. I think it the categories have expanded since.
I guess what I'm saying is that Austin Wintory being nominated for this, it's like incredible.
It's an incredible deal,
feat.
especially back then. I feel like I'm going to be saying that a lot.
Yeah.
Like in 2022, that might not sound impressive. In 2012, it definitely was.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And Journey was really the first one of those games to really
hit
break
mainstream.
it.
Break through. Yeah.
So let's get into it. Let's get into kind of like the premise of this game, the setting and everything. You start out kind of like in a desert. It is completely devoid of dialogue of any kind, the entire game. And your character is kind of like this little robed figure, red robed, kind of looks like very geometric, very simple and striking imagery. Kind of both games we're going to be discussing actually reminded me a little bit of the Wind Waker's kind of
art style. Cel-shaded
Yep.
sort of thing. Yeah,
Yep.
sure.
Very striking kind of imagery there. And essentially it is a lot of walking.
Yep.
For the most part, there's some jumping. And I think there's like a little bit of a chime move you can do to interact with the environment.
Yep. So there's a little bit of a puzzle solving atmosphere to the game.
like a platformy type
Yeah,
of
there's just enough like what I kind of say these days is there's just enough game in here to like make it a game.
Yeah.
Even though I think I said to you, Nick, right when we started, because I kind of forgot that I had played it and you hadn't, you were kind of walking around and testing out the controls, and I made a comment like, all you do is walk and go. You see, really cool thing right off the bat that I want to talk about. I love how your quote unquote objective is not written on the screen, but it's visually in front of you.
Yeah.
There is a mountain, light coming from mountain, walk at mountain.
Very clear.
Yep,
Very
clear.
very easy to understand.
You know, speaking of what you were saying, one thing I really loved about that, one thing I noticed immediately is that there's no HUD or anything.
Yeah, there's nothing on the
There is
screen.
nothing except for the surroundings. And
Yeah.
I think I told you too, like I played this game for the first time 2 days ago. I'd heard of it, of course, but I jumped in and I'm like, this game looks incredible. And it came out in
looks awesome.
2012.
It looks awesome.
This is
yeah,
awesome.
I played it on PC this time. I played it initially, I think, in 2013 on the PS3.
Sure.
But I played it on PC, and of course, like I'm sure they've made all these improvements, you know, kind of the port and everything. It looked incredible, very breathtaking visually, really kind of immerses you in the world. A lot of like just exemplary uses of light and color. Kind of like, I remember if you remember, at one point you're sliding down and it's a shot of you from the side and the sunlight is coming in and like, wow, that looks great.
Can I make comments about the character that you play as?
sure.
Yeah.
So what I really loved about the character is that it could be anybody, right?
Yep.
You're no particular gender. You don't have a name. This is literally a person that you could just insert yourself into and anyone can be this character.
You're
I
just
really
kind of
like
a
that.
hooded figure.
Yeah, I really like that. Could be anyone.
And I thought it was kind of interesting that the opening areas are kind of like Middle East inspired or maybe North African, where you kind of have these, and it's sort of getting into like that Babylonian, like cradle of civilization kind of influence there. Because there's a very kind of, a lot of the design philosophy with this game is to make it kind of a unifying experience. Whereas like, I was remarking when I was playing through it, I was like, it's funny that you can't like, so there is an element of co-op in this game.
We found a person when we were playing the other day. There were a couple people.
Yeah.
It was great.
And I'm not sure if there are like AI ones that they dropped in, like, you know, say I'm assuming at the time there were a lot more people actually playing online, so I'm not sure if they wanted to make you have that experience, because I think one person who had like it felt like a Steam username or something, and then another one that was just like a glyph or something.
Sure.
And I was like, yeah, go ahead.
So I was going to say this too, a very Dark Soulsy multiplayer vibe from this game.
Yeah.
Where like the game is very lonely, but then you have occasionally these other players are in your world helping you jump and fly.
Yeah.
And it's very like in and out of your world. It had to have been inspired by Souls, right? I mean, it came out after. It has to be.
It's interesting because it's
Maybe
in development
parallel
for
thinking.
so long.
Parallel
Could be.
thinking. Yeah, sure.
Well, I was going to say that, so basically you can only really help each other.
Yes.
And he deliberately said, let's make it just, you know, you don't need them to solve puzzles. They can't get in your way. You can't communicate at all. Because he didn't want biases to emerge. Like, you know, like it's all, we're all the human race. We're all, you know, in this game, we're all kind of on equal footing. Pretty interesting because, you know, you get like, you know, playing Halo, you get harassment and, you know, just people talking shit on the mic and stuff.
Right.
So I think that was a pretty, for the time before, you know, online gaming was like even more widespread as we know it now, is a pretty, kind of prescient thing to do.
Whether it was AI or not, I didn't, either you hadn't said or I forgot. I didn't know if this game had a co-op component. I'd forgotten about it or something. So when I saw another player drop in, I was like, holy shit, wait, what's happening?
It's very like interlaced in the game.
Yeah,
it's very very
so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're just sort of curiously interacting with each other, and so that's an element. You kind of, I think, over the course of the game, you the only real marker of progress besides your proximity to the mountain is the scarf.
Yeah, your scarf grows.
Right. So you collect these little like balls of light or something that grow them. And I was just curious because I'm going to have more to say about this at the end, but what did the scarf like represent to you guys?
I don't know. What do you think, Nick? To me, it just kind of looked like progress markers, or like almost like your trail markings that you're putting on your back. I don't know.
Yeah, that I would agree with that.
Maybe.
I thought like something to measure progress, like you're getting help from these the road figures, and they're gifting you some more things to help you on your journey.
Thought about it was like maybe like social standing, like a measure of your kind of, as you go through life, you are kind of, your scarf kind of tells your story. And then as you kind of, so basically that is sort of the longer your scarf is, you accrue sort of light on it.
And for this poor character, the more shit you've been through.
Right.
Yeah.
But that will enable you to jump higher, make life easier. And you can kind of, I consider that to be kind of like money or wealth of some kind. So, because you can kind of, if you have a partner that, that could be kind of like a roommate or a romantic partner or something where you're kind of pooling your resources to work together. And I thought that was kind of an interesting thing.
It's great that you say that, because I didn't mention this when we were playing, but sometimes, when you collect the little scarf pieces, sometimes they're scattered in the wind and they sort of resemble the shapes of dollar bills. So I kind of got that.
Okay. There you go.
I don't think that's the intended. I think they're just literally pieces of scarves. But to me, they did kind of look
there's
like wads of cash.
refill stations and stuff a little bit.
Right.
And kind of, I liked the early parts of this game a lot, where you're just kind of dicking around the desert and
dicking around the desert.
I think this little character would be offended if you said he was dicking around. He gets brutalized.
Maybe later, but I mean, no, because it does kind of have that, like, it's very simple at first. It's very childlike. You know, there's not a lot of, there's no enemies. There's not a lot of hardship, and I think that was obviously on purpose. It's a very clear gradient.
I think it's also really cool. Like, this is very subtle, but as you move through the sand, you see it like move under your feet.
Looks great.
I was gonna say that. You like glide along the sand and it moves with you.
All the effects.
The wind effects.
I was thinking about fucking Halo, which we just talked about, how you can't even like leave any footprints or anything. Like, fuck you. 10 years later, and how many more millions of dollars?
Try hundreds of millions.
Right.
Okay, so so it's a very straightforward game. It's very short, we should say.
Yeah, it's about 2 hours or so. It took us to beat.
Maybe like a little over 2 hours, but you're just kind of wandering around these environments, and you get the impression that maybe there was like a fallen civilization.
I was going to say that, because there's all the ruins everywhere.
There's like some murals.
Yes.
And eventually you run into these big flying kind of machine things.
The bone dragons? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
And those things freak me out.
I was curious what you guys got out of those things.
Yeah, they're interesting, right? Because when they spot you, they take away pieces of your scarf. Yeah. So like Beppe, when you're talking about the your scarf represents maybe your social standing. Now that kind of puts a light bulb in my head here. Are these little bone dragons people who try to put you down and take away your social standing after you've gathered so much?
Well, that, or like organizations or systems. I was thinking like, because there's kind of a sub story that is being told in the murals where these things kind of brought about the end of it. And I always thought maybe like technology or like nuclear weapons or something, because you see them kind of awaken and they're all like underground and stuff like that. I don't think anytime you have, I don't think there's like a perfect analog for everything, but it's just kind of like, what did I get out of this? What kind of vibes was it putting in?
I think, a big takeaway of this game is that your character, I don't want to use the word journey when I talk about the game Journey.
It's just a perfect title.
Yeah, it really is. Well, I really think a lot of this game is the elements and things are fighting. It's very simple. Fighting against you to get to that mountaintop.
Yes.
Also mountaintops and hills, very symbolic, whether it's whether it's, you know, Earth and Heaven, you and progress, you and where you want to go. It almost sounds very meta of me to say that, where it's like, oh, these dragons are getting in your way, but they're also getting in your way. Right? You know what I mean?
Profound stuff.
You know what I mean? Like, but I feel like that is the intention of them.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, you're on some sort of, to me, this game is a more, I don't want to say religious game, but religious-y sort
I think
of
it plays
game.
a part. It's like a rite of passage or a prophecy or something.
Well, they talk a lot in the behind the scenes about, you know, Joseph Campbell and the monomyth and everything. And I feel like a lot of people, because I've read Hero with 1,000 Faces, it's very interesting, but I feel like a lot of people just kind of like that's their go-to. Like, it's really, this game is kind of tapping into that, where you have something that could feel universal. Like, I don't know about, I don't know how, it's kind of just like trying to illustrate the path of life.
Yes.
And, you know, how you know, your struggles and your goals and everything. And so I did want to mention, so you kind of go through the city, this ruined city after the desert. You kind of go into this, almost, it feels like an underwater area a little bit, but not really. There is a really cool part I wanted to bring up where you are getting chased by those things and you're sliding down and they get stopped by a big barrier. That looks awesome.
Yeah.
Really cool looking scene. But then you kind of wind up on that mountain and you're kind of trudging up the snow. And it's really, really miserable.
I think there were two parts that jumped out to me. The second one was that. The first one was when the desert starts to look kind of scary. There are snowstorm. There are sandstorms and it's dark. And the wind is kind of pushing you back. And you can kind of feel it like hitting off your character's face.
You know what's so funny is that I neglected to bring this up on either of the last couple episodes, but I wanted to mention that this game does that better than Metal Gear or Halo. Because like it has pretty much, if you reach sort of the edge of the map, the wind will blow you back on course. And then like I was thinking about like how in the other games we just talked about, there's like a timer, like go back to your mission or else. Like, Jesus Christ, that's so like,
I know,
artless. You know,
I've always find it great when a game can take some sort of artistic direction or make invisible walls something that bleeds into the gameplay. Like Journey with the sandstorms. Unlike, you know, maybe something like Halo where it's just like, hey, you gotta go back now.
10 seconds.
Right,
well,
exactly.
Something else I want to bring up too, because Nick and I did a pass the controller when we played through Journey. Whenever there was a white loading screen, we would switch.
Okay.
And Nick did most of the snow part.
Yes.
What I thought, you and I were, do you know what happened when you and I went on this journey?
Yes.
What I thought was very endearing was when you were in the snow part, you and I were really rooting for this guy. We're like, when you have to like hide behind the tombstones of probably your people. Right? It's you're hiding behind the tombstones from the wind, and we're like, "Come on, buddy, you can do it. Come on, let's go, push it." Right? You can do it.
You're starting to get slower and slower.
Yeah.
And if you get hit by one of those things, it takes a big chunk of your scarf off.
Yes.
The light source is draining a lot more rapidly.
In the cold.
Yeah. You know that whole desert part reminded me a lot of like that. You remember in Ocarina of Time when you have to follow the ghost?
I was thinking that as soon as you were talking about the desert a few minutes ago with the sandstorms.
Haunted Wasteland or whatever.
Haunted Wasteland or whatever.
Pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, so Nick told me a little bit about his experience with this part, but I think he had the intended reaction. Nick, do you want to talk about it?
Sure. Yeah. So Greg, you were definitely suppressing your reaction to me when I said this. In the snow part toward the very end, that's when I started talking about like, man, we're really pushing along. I'm really rooting for this guy. Come on, man. And then he falls on the ground. I'm like, no, what the fuck?
Oh, you mean like when you walk slower and slower and then you die?
Yeah, and then I was and you were probably thinking, oh, Nick, you poor son.
You don't even know what's coming.
Even know what's gonna happen.
I remember. I also I want to shout this out too. Our previous guests on the show, John and Noah. I played Journey with them 10 years ago, and we beat it in one sitting.
Oh yeah, cool.
So. When I remember like John and I and Noah, and we were playing this part and you kind of notice your characters walking slow, really cool visual. I don't know whether it's maybe symbolism or not, where you get past the a final tombstone, as if you made it farther than anyone else and you still didn't make it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
But you know what kind of told me that maybe something was bad was going to happen?
Yeah.
So it was something that we noticed. We didn't really pick up on it at the time, but this is my interpretation of it. If there's another use for this gameplay wise, maybe you two know, or maybe someone in the comments knows. At a certain point, it was very close to the end. There was this torch that you could light using the B button, and it restored all of your scarf when you're in the vicinity of the torch.
Yeah.
But then immediately when you leave, the scarf just basically disappears because it's cold.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, I'm like, is it showing you that this is just futile?
Yeah.
Is it just this glimmer of hope that means nothing because this is how it's going to end?
You get a little kind of
A little
breath
boost,
breath of
but-
air there, yeah.
But it's very short-lived. Maybe that's symbolic for the whole
yeah.
experience. I tried not to use the word journey there.
yeah.
So at this point, so over the course of the game, whenever you hit those checkpoints, you're kind of greeted by another member of your tribe who appears much taller. They're in those white robes and maybe kind of like a spirit of some kind.
Yeah, the Temple of Time guys.
Or an elder. And they kind of come to your rescue here.
Yeah.
And it's sort of open to interpretation what exactly is happening. I think there could, because initially I was like, is this like when Frodo collapses in Shelob's lair
Yep.
and Galadriel like symbolically picks him up? I wasn't sure if that's what was happening. I think because like the primary read that I got from it was that you actually die
Yeah.
in the snow. And what winds up happening is that they give you that you're kind of enlightened or you are uplifted,
Your spirit is lifted.
into
You made it.
the heavens.
Yeah.
And there's this big fantastical sequence where the score is just
Yeah.
soaring, and it looks like, I think a lot of this was kind of sort of influenced by like Tibetan imagery. Yeah.
I remember listening to an Austin Wintory interview where he talked specifically about that musical moment of when you're flying up the mountain. And he said that took, I don't want to, I'm probably getting the time wrong. It took either like weeks or days, weeks, months just to do that.
Yeah,
Because it
I
had to
believe
be
it.
perfect.
That's the moment as
Yeah.
far as I'm concerned. It's like where because you're kind of being taken from your lowest point to your highest.
Yeah.
And
You're climbing up the waterfalls and you get all the scarf dragons.
all the dragons are now made of the fabric and everything. And it's so what I was gonna say earlier about the scarf thing was that it's like the longest it can possibly be in this moment. And it's kind of and what I took away from that, if we're using social status as a lens here, is that like no matter what, once you die and you are entering this kingdom or whatever, that it's kind of like the pawn and the queen go back in the same box. Like everyone's scarf is as long as it can be up there.
Sure,
you know
sure.
what I mean?
You guys want to hear something a really interesting point about that? I believe in the soundtrack, the title of that specific song for that moment is called Apotheosis, which means the highest point.
Right.
So you've reached the highest point. I thought that was really cool.
Pretty cool. And then they kind of very gently lower you back down to the ground.
Yes.
And you walk through the crest of the mountain, and it all fades out to white.
Yeah.
And beautiful game. There is kind of that reincarnation moment where you have over the credits, like the star comes out of the mountain and lands back in the desert. And Nick, what was that thing you discovered about if you do this multiple times?
Yeah, apparently if you complete the journey multiple times, you gain the white robes. So you can kind of become one of those spiritual guides.
Yeah.
That's
So
cool.
like if you go to help people, you can appear in these white robes to help people throughout, which is really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times you have to go through it to get those
No
robes.
idea.
But
Interesting
yeah.
to kind of give it. And I did notice that everyone else, because if you run into someone else, you can differentiate yourselves. Everyone has their own like symbol on their robes, which I thought was cool.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Which is what you project when you do that speech thing. Kind of nice. So that's the whole game, but I just wanted to I wanted to kind of get into a post discussion here. So Nick, I mean, you've heard a lot about this game. Do you think it lives up to its own hype?
Oh my God, yes. I think 100%. I have written down right here, I was wholly engaged the entire time. Throughout the entire, I know it's a short game, so, you don't need to have that much of an attention span to get through that, but I was almost reluctant to give Greg the controller. No, I want to play.
This is my journey.
Right.
Yeah.
But man, because I don't know. I think even though the game doesn't actually tell you anything or say much, I can't say this for a lot of games, even ones that have rich storytelling or dialogue. I was really rooting for this character, and I really wanted to see where this journey ended, but like, and I just wanted to keep going.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of these, it's kind of a cliche, but this game says a lot by saying nothing.
Yeah.
That's great. And there are games that say a whole lot, but don't actually mean anything.
They don't say fucking anything.
Like Silent Hill 3.
Yeah.
So another question I had for you is, what do you think the most important aspect of this game is that contributes to its success?
Oh, wow. In my opinion, I think what is the most important aspect? Such a weighty question. For me, it is the progression of the landscape, where you start off in soft desert, you go to underground, you go to sandstorm, and then you go to snow and mountain.
Yeah.
So you're actually making progress, and by that I mean, you guys kind of it's not really a video game theory, but it's kind of a design mantra that some developers have. If I can see it, I want to be able to go there.
Yeah.
And I think with Journey, you get that in both like a physical and symbolic sense, and it's very important.
Yeah.
That when you get to the snow part, the wind is pounding, you're hiding behind gravestones, but you can see it.
Yep.
It's right there. I want to make it. And they do such a great job with progression, and the game's only an hour and a half.
Yeah.
That for me, I think it's the progression of it's not just cute. It gets scary, questioning, and then you really root for the guy.
Yeah. I was gonna say like the presentation for me definitely, like kind of art direction and music, where you have what is inherently a very simple and universal concept, but it doesn't look bland and it doesn't sound bland. Like you're kind of celebrating like the vibrance of human life here.
Nick, what do you think most important?
You know, you two already brought up really great points, and I don't disagree. I mean, I might agree, like I might lean more toward what Greg says, but for the sake of being different, I think while the presentation as a whole is super important, I think what they did with not even just the music, but the sound effects were just so incredibly well done with these little tiny details. Like, I think, Greg, you noticed I was probably getting on your nerves because in every single area, I was hitting the B button a bunch of times to see what sound came out.
See what the
One of those
chime did?
things
It
where you
changed.
get,
It changed, but differing on the area you were in. It
as
was
you get
lower,
older, higher up the mountain, it gets weaker.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
Also, like hat tip to Austin Wintory, where the opening cello theme is brought back on different instruments throughout the soundtrack.
Yeah, and it's very dynamic too, like with each new element that's added.
And I thought something that was a really cool detail about the music. I didn't realize it when I was playing it. You can't turn the music off.
Oh, really?
It's not an off. You
Interesting.
can't do that.
Good.
Where in most games you can turn it off. I mean, it's good. If you can't.
Good.
Bro, is that in the contract?
Which I think is really cool because this game the soundtrack to this game is so important for what it's trying to do.
Yeah.
I mean, if anyone's interested, this specific point I have here is from a really cool video essay that I watched called "The Story Hidden in Journey's Soundtrack."
Okay.
Well, I'll drop it in the YouTube description. Make sure to like and subscribe. I'll drop it on the YouTube subscription description when this is done. But it talked about all the things that the soundtrack does, and it brought up one specific small detail that I didn't notice when we had co-op with that one person. It brings in different instruments.
Oh, okay.
When there's a co-op person, I believe it's a harp and then a violin or a viola rather that come in, which is pretty cool. And the further you are from away from each other, the more distant the music sounds.
Oh, nice.
Which
Right
I'm
on.
like, that's so cool.
Good.
Yeah.
That poor
good job,
engineer who had
Yeah.
geez.
But it's such a cool little detail, and I'm glad they did it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think we can all pretty much say that this makes a compelling case for games as art here.
Yes.
I think we're all in agreement about that. I think one last question I had about Journey is, in the vein of how his objective was, he wanted something that was other than defeat, kill, win. And I was just curious if you guys had any thoughts about how games can take that further in the future.
Do you mean Genova Chen?
That was his design philosophy.
So it's not defeat, kill, win. Wow. Wait, do you know what I'm a little bit surprised at? By going up the mountain, that's not win. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Or does he mean the journey is not?
I guess like you're not gonna
kill something to win the game.
But if you play the game, you're gonna get up the mountain. Like you can't fail.
There's no failure. I think the only thought I have, I'll just be humorous because this game is perfect.
Yep.
Like we shouldn't even like grade it at the end.
Yeah.
So my only thought on that is this game did that so much better than Beyond Two Souls. Where
Okay.
I want you to think about this. I think it was the same year too. It's very,
really?
very
Yeah.
close. This game, you cannot lose. You walk at objective, and you will always get to the end. In Beyond Two Souls, you also can't lose, but it's fucking terrible. and it's
Sure.
one of these like very disparate things where it's so funny that you asked that, because my initial thought was other people have tried it and failed.
Right.
David Cage. So I don't know what a good answer to your question is.
It is
'Cause
funny that you
Maybe
say
just
that,
something
though.
to think about.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
it
know.
might just be something to ponder, because Nick, before you
Yeah.
go on, I've experienced games that have tried to do this and they are boring as shit.
Yeah.
Like it just is not as successful. It might be a testament to the other things in the game, aesthetic, art design, visual. Nick, but continue.
I was gonna say, it's pretty interesting how you bring up that you can't fail. You
Yeah.
as the character can't fail, but off screen, a lot of this character's little buddies or ancestors did fail.
That's true.
Because you see their tombstones everywhere. So it's really interesting how you build off of their failure and mark your progress
And
that
it's-
way.
It kind of
Yeah.
motivates you to keep going.
Yeah.
It's so
maybe.
sad to me that you get the farthest and die.
I know.
Oh,
But you know, you
make it.
You
You
fulfilled.
make it.
You did. You did
in
your
a
part.
way. Yeah.
You continued the journey.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Now that we've got all that out of our systems,
yeah.
All journeyed out.
should we take a quick break and then jump right into Abzu? What do you think, guys?
Yeah.
All right, let's jump right in.
Let's do it.
Dive right in, as we should
Oh, here we go.
say. Never gonna have me on an episode again.
You ready?
Abzu, I picked as a sort of sister game to Journey.
Mhm.
I think you guys would probably agree in some senses after playing it. I don't think you guys had played it before, right?
No.
No, Nick and I played it for the first time like a week ago.
Oh, you hadn't played it.
I had not
Oh,
played Abzu
interesting.
before.
Okay.
No.
So I played it on Game Pass a couple years ago, and I thought it was an interesting game. And I totally saw kind of, it was like from some of the people who made Journey.
Mm-hmm.
And Austin Wintory did the soundtrack again.
Mm-hmm. Art director's the same, right? Matt Nava is his name.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
that's
the
right.
last time we had That Game Company and Santa Monica,
Mhm.
and now we have Giant Squid Studios and 505 Games.
Mm-hmm.
And this came out 4 years later, 2016. And Matt Nava was talking about how he's a big lover of scuba diving, lover of the ocean and the natural world. And I thought all that came across very well in this game. I think this is what I wanted really to illustrate here is that what a lightning in the bottle experience Journey was. And you
Mhm.
can kind of do it again, but not really. You know what I mean?
Not to, in any way like disparage, the developer or anything like that.
No.
I do think Journey is more successful at doing the thing.
Yeah.
Like this game, I think
I'd call it good, but it's
it's not
Journey.
it's not the home run.
Yeah.
This game, it's tough to describe. Where Nick and I played this together.
Mhm.
It's very, you know what it is? Like I kept finding myself saying, "Oh, this game is cute."
Yes.
While in Journey, I was like, "Holy shit, this game like breaks me down."
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, I think not to say anything negative about you or anything.
Uh-oh.
Oh, here we
but,
go.
Uh-oh.
No, I mean, so I wanted to illustrate one
Yeah.
point here is that Journey was a universal thing about the human experience
Yeah.
on purpose.
Sure.
This game is a lot more about the natural world.
Mhm.
I know you don't have a particular soft spot for animals, so
I don't.
maybe that came in here. But
Yep.
I am very fascinated by the deep sea and all
Okay.
the things that dwell within it, and preserving sort of the ecosystem that I think is being very kind of just look around you.
Yes.
It's awful, and a lot of this game is kind of about that and sort of resetting the natural order of things and
Mhm.
undoing some of the damage that humans have done. So this game, I would like to mention that the title is very odd. So
Yep.
I had to look it up.
A lot of different meanings for this title, I found.
Yes, for sure. So I think the primary one I saw was that it is the Sumerian name for divine life-giving waters
Yep.
or the
Mhm.
primeval sea.
Exactly. Yep.
I think that comes through a lot where you have some strange experience. So this is a scuba diving game essentially.
Yeah.
And what I really liked about it and what I think was absolutely the right move is that unlike a lot of swimming games, this has no like air meter or anything.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the controls are comparatively pretty good. I did have to switch the pitch on both of them.
This is so funny. Where the first thing that I did when I got the controller was pause, and then I think it's really interesting. The developer made the choice to switch the controls. It's right in front of you.
Yes.
Like the only options are on the screen or what are change the perspective of the camera and the controls.
Yes.
I mean,
which is
that was thoughtful.
Very
like,
thoughtful.
Yep.
everyone is going to play this game a little different. Yeah, no air gauge, so you can pretty much fully explore. There's a couple moments where, this is like what I was just saying, where if you wander a little too far, you'll get pulled back. I think your helmet beeps or something.
Oh, interesting. I don't know if we encountered that. That's cool.
Again, very beautiful game. The animations, the color in particular, the lighting. And it's so cool about this game is that they put so much effort into the fish.
Yes.
And oh my god, like fucking everyone under the sun is in this game.
Do you know what's so funny? Some of the most fun moments Nick and I had where we're like, dude, go get that thing. Like, go ride it.
Yeah.
What is
Go
that?
get the fish. What's the fish?
What is that?
Because you can hang on to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
And,
you go get the turtle.
You're
And
go
get him.
Gotta get on the turtle.
It'll tell you like what it is.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
There's like I guess extinct or whatever
Yes, there are extinct
race that you
animals.
just like kind of reboot, or you put new ones into the world or whatever when you touch those things.
Yep.
And there's a lot of like there's like you kind of like the shark statues or like the bonfires almost, where you kind of sit down and meditate, and you can go from fish to fish and see what it is.
Yep.
And I was just so many times in this game, I was just sort of mesmerized by like that looked like so much fucking work when they had that big school of fish.
Oh
like
my
in a fucking
god!
tornado.
Yeah.
The fact that this isn't crashing right now is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And what I thought was an interesting choice too about this game is that every time I went up to the surface, there was like nothing, and it's like the story is beneath the waves.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's not kind of.
It is
teasing you with
not
anything.
without its surprises, though. You know what I mean?
No, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. From the start, it's pretty normal. You're just kind of exploring these first couple, I guess, sandboxes or ocean boxes. We'll say.
Yep, we'll say ocean boxes.
And you wind up. You have to kind of. It's similar to Journey, where you have certain checkpoints and you're opening up. There's like sort of this cosmic ocean beneath the ocean. It's a little bit of SpongeBob logic here.
Yeah.
And I thought it was. I mean, that's what I thought of.
Thanks for the thumbnail inspiration.
Yes.
Oh, geez.
You're welcome.
All right.
Yeah. So, but this is kind of. It's a very sort of. You're just sort of this diver in like a yellow suit, and you're just kind of exploring, wordless. There is another kind of Dark Souls moment pretty early on where you run into a shark.
He eats your little buddy.
So you find these little drones or whatever.
Yeah.
You activate them and they open up, coral or whatever for you, little robotic kind of things. And it reminded me a lot of like the Bridge Wyvern, where he just kind of grabs it and then like goes away. And so you have this kind of, because they really mythologize like the great white shark in this game. There's only one. And that's a pretty early interesting story moment. And as you go, like I was surprised because I was like, okay, how much diversity is there really going to be? Because with Journey you have like desert, city, mountain, etc. And this is all under the ocean. And as it turns out, there's quite a bit. So after you kind of explore these first couple areas, you get like sort of deeper and deeper into the ocean, and there's that really awesome. You guys remember this part with all the whales?
Yeah, that might be my favorite part of the game.
That was
Just diving
awesome.
with the whales. That was so cool.
Yeah, and you kind of closing in on their eye.
It's another one of those almost sideway perspectives.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They're so big, and I'm like, whoa.
It
was so
really
cool.
it does a good job of making you feel like and I have a big I have a phobia of being like that low in the ocean, and there's like things that are that big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if have you ever seen those big, like not even giant squids, like the really big ones? They're like fucking close to the Earth's core or something. They're
Yeah, they're way the hell
I don't know what they're
there.
feeding those guys, but
they look like aliens.
Yeah.
Like it's bonkers.
And there are giant squids, just like the company name in this game. There are giant
Completely,
squids.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah.
It's a
And
good
I
little touch.
think they do a good job. There's actually kind of an ecosystem where some fish will eat others and stuff too.
That's right.
Really cool game. You kind of see like the loop, I guess. Like there's not like, it's like Journey where there's not like a ton to do. You're just kind of progressing and progressing. And at a certain point, I thought this was really cool where you find sort of this big machine.
Yeah.
You mean the pyramid things?
It's very ominous. It's like an upside down pyramid. And there's all those Galaxy Quest mines that are blocking your progress.
I'm so sorry, but this is not on the developers, okay? This is on me.
Okay.
I couldn't take the little pyramid things seriously because they very closely resemble the evil council ship from Kung Pao.
Oh, yeah.
I saw them like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's a good
not
point.
on me, but I couldn't take this seriously
because they kind of move in the same way too.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they do in the sky. They're not French though.
Right? No, they're not French.
But I like the sound effect on these when you get too close to them. It sounded really cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they can zap you. I don't think in either game there's like
there's no death state.
Yeah.
You
It's
can
just
kind of get hurt but keep going.
It just kind of incapacitates you.
Right.
Yeah.
I did like in this game, I don't know if you noticed where the flippers are kind of like your cooldown when you do that like boost.
Yes.
They'll just like grow back kind of.
It's pretty cool.
So this big sort of upside down French pyramid in the ocean is it's clearly sort of like this man-made artifact where like they were drilling for something or it's a very kind of industrial vibe. And you see the great white shark, he's like stuck under something and you help him out of it.
Yeah.
And then later on it's very kind of tenuous because you have to avoid these mines and it kind of looks like a crashed like submarine or something. You're walking around and it's a pretty tragic scene where the shark is trying to like attack it and he gets like shocked.
Yeah.
And then
can't make it.
It's like a big sort of emotional moment where you're
Yeah,
like,
It's so weird,
fuck.
I never really knew what to think of the shark, right? Because he eats your little buddy. So am I like, is this guy supposed to be the villain?
At
don't really
first,
know.
and then you kind of
You warm up because you save him.
Yeah,
You lift the rebel up.
you put your arm on him and kind of attain
Comfort him.
a
Help him out.
mutual respect, I guess.
Yeah.
And he dies.
Right.
And it's pretty tragic because you realize. I think that's for me when the game sort of clicked and when I
Yeah,
figured
me
out
too.
what it was about.
Can I say something weird?
Yeah.
So I'm definitely wrong. I'm 100% wrong. But when we were first going through this game, we got to that part with all the upside down pyramids, did the exact segment that you were just talking about.
Yeah.
I had the inkling. I was like, wait, are we the baddies right now? Because I was like,
bad
is
guy?
this some like ocean defense system that we're trying to infiltrate?
Well, you said I neglected to mention that I remembered what happened because they show the little drones in like a hologram, then
Yeah.
they show the pyramids, and then they show you.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, wait, what's going? And then you kind of see like another you on the floor in that room.
Yes,
And then
right.
at this point, when the shark attacks the big thing, it lets out a big shockwave. A lot of your body gets like fried off.
Yes.
And it reveals kind of that you are like
A mechanical
Robot thing.
yeah,
A
like an
humanoid.
automaton or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
And I thought that was fascinating because I was like, what are they saying here? So it's basically like, I think on some level, it's sort of that like technology can be used for good or evil, like either or. And on some level, it has like a conscience, I guess.
Yeah.
at a
I think
certain
part of
point.
it is like humans either reconnecting with nature or what we've done to harm it. Because it also harmed us back.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And I thought that was, and there's a lot of, because you have the upside down triangle on your back too.
Yeah.
And what I was thinking about this is that you start paying attention to these symbols, you're going to start seeing them everywhere. Mark my words. But the upside down triangle is very kind of associated with like destruction and the masculine, whereas the normal triangle would be, it's like body shapes kind of, is like the normal triangle would be feminine, like the ocean, the mother, everything, you can't see it, but I'm like rolling my eyes. But no, I think that's what they were going for, is this kind of like, it's intruding into the ocean, making a huge mess and everything. And there's not a whole lot left to the game. There's a part where you explore some ruins, like the other game.
Yep.
I believe, I could be wrong. Don't you cooperate with the spirit of the shark to solve puzzles at the end of the game?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
So
believe
I
you
think
do.
you kind of you reconnect with it here because this is it's clear this is like the lowest point because you start seeing like dinosaurs.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
like kabutops and stuff. And I thought this part of the game because I was like, wait a second, so this is like prehistoric shit.
That's where like Nick and I were like, what's going on here? Like,
Right.
are you getting so far into the ocean that you're discovering these species still exist? Are you reviving the species? What are we doing? Like, I didn't quite know what was going on.
I think that the whole cosmic ocean thing was sort of it's a wormhole sort of between time.
Okay.
So you're kind of seeing the ocean as it was
and
years ago.
Sure.
And then you're kind of linking it all back together.
Mhm.
And so what winds up happening is you have a sequence very similar to the end of Journey.
Yes.
Where you are riding alongside the spirit of the shark,
Yeah.
shattering all these like
I gotta
mines
say,
and stuff.
that part was hype. I loved doing that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you get the shark buddy, you're cruising along, you're like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
It was sweet. I love doing that.
And that's pretty much the end of the game is because, you know, you've cleared it. I think like moss and seaweed starts to overtake all the metallic stuff.
Yeah.
And something I thought was pretty cool was that during the credits, like it abandons you as a camera point. You just kind of, it becomes passive where you can still swim around, but you'll be in the background like like all the other sea creatures.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I thought that was pretty rad.
I think for me, the moment where the game kind of came together for me is when you can get out of the water and walk around.
That was kind of interesting.
Do you know-
yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
So that was very interesting to me. Where I think, Nick, do you know what this game was? I think in a contrast to Journey, I think this game was a little bit, the games are very short.
Yes.
This game was a little bit of a slow burn, but you get a ton at the end or the latter half.
Big payoff.
Where like after the shark eats your buddy, you're like, oh, do we hate the shark? But then the shark gets shocked and dies. Then you comfort the shark, but then you get your own legs blown off. I'm like, what is going on here? And so, but then when you get out of the water, remember, I think we had a moment here where I said, it's not telling me where to go. Do you get out of the water?
And you
do.
Yeah.
It's interesting. And I think, for me, I think with Abzu, maybe it didn't click for me in terms of, I hate just saying on mic, I didn't get it. Or like, we're like the cosmic ocean, like, is this, you said it was almost like a wormhole or like a time sort of,
that was just my interpretation.
yeah, you're probably right because I didn't know what was happening in this. Like whether the two time periods are coming together. Are you reviving them? Were you sent here to bring them back? I don't know.
That was my thought. That you know, after when the whole like ocean, everything started. When you do the end of the game, things become more green. The ocean starts coming back.
Yeah,
that's when I sort of eliminated the thought from my mind of, okay, we're not the bad person unless oceans.
Or you
are
were
bad,
actively, or maybe you are a bad
undoing it, redeeming
or you're
yourself.
undoing it, like you're a part of that society. You're trying to stop it.
Right.
Yeah.
Could be something like that. You know, can I bring up an interesting point that you make about getting on land?
Yeah.
So when we were playing it, we got on land and we started walking around. You made an offhand comment like, oh, of course you can't boost on land. Of course you can only walk really
very
slow.
clunky.
And I said, you know, after that, I was like, that is 100% intentional.
Yeah.
They wanted to make the water the focal points and make you more fluid.
You do feel like a fish out of water.
Yes. And I thought that was a really cool little detail.
Yeah. And I think one of the last little points I wanted to bring up is, for privacy, no names will be named, but one of our friends plays this with his daughter.
Oh,
and I
that's
thought that
great.
was really cool. He's like,
Oh, wow.
like not an avid gamer or anything. He's like, oh yeah, I love that game. I play with my daughter all the time. I'm like, that's kind of cool.
I can see why like dads or like parents and kids would want to play this with each other.
Somewhat educational, you know, with the names of the fish and stuff.
And you know what? Because after you beat it, I'm not sure if Journey allows you to do this. I don't think so. But in Abzu, you can select what area of the ocean you want to go back to.
Right.
So if you're playing with your kids and they say, no, I want to go back to the
I
prehistoric
like the whales.
region.
Yeah,
let's go back to the whale part. So you can do that. You can go and find all different fish. I thought that
Like,
was
Dad,
great.
let's ride the manatee.
Yeah. That was sick, by the way.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, cute game. I think I'm pretty much in agreement with you here, where I would consider Journey like maybe like a 9 out of 10 and Abzu like a 7 out of 10. Does that make sense?
Yeah, are we doing grades?
I'm
These
grading.
are very short games. For me, I think Journey is an A
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know what else I could ask from it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
It completely achieves what it set out
Yeah,
to
where
do.
like, to me, Journey made sense right from the get-go. I understood the symbolism. You know, there is mountain, I go, you know, and you really root for the guy, and it's like everything about it is great. The colors, and it's beautiful, and I get the symbolism, and I felt so emotional playing it. And I think with
the ending hit just as hard in Journey for me as it did the first
oh,
time.
me
It's
too.
Like, God damn.
Yeah, I know. It hit me so bad.
I think it's an A. I think you're right. I think Abzu for me, if Journey is an A, Abzu is it's like a C+ or like a B-. Like it's just
Nothing wrong with it.
It's nothing wrong with it. It's also, like you said, like you have a bigger soft spot for maybe like animals and creatures than I do. Listen, I'm not a psychopath. I don't listen. I can't believe you brought that up.
I just thought it would be funny.
It is funny. Listen, let's lay down the facts here. I don't have any pets.
We did have pet fish when we were younger.
We did have
though.
pet fish when we were younger.
Yeah.
I don't have any pets. It's not an interest of mine. So there are probably some aspects of that just didn't click with me. Like, I don't get it.
Right.
But Nick, why don't you go ahead with grades?
What I want to say first is, so I played Abzu before Journey.
Oh yeah.
And I think I'm glad I played Abzu first.
Okay.
Because I think, you know, this sounds bad, but Journey's the better game.
Right.
So I feel like it's better to not start with the better game. Because
Yeah,
if I had played Journey and then Abzu, I might have just thought Abzu was just a lesser Journey.
Sure.
So by playing it first, I have a more of appreciation of what it was trying to
on
do.
its own merits.
So
yeah.
can I just say one thing? Because you know the interesting thing about Abzu, and I guess other similar games and other games that take place underwater like Subnautica, you all love water levels, right?
Ugh.
And this game took an entire game based on a water level, and it made it work.
And it wasn't painful.
Right.
You
And
know
I
what
think
I mean?
that says a lot.
That's a great point.
Like, everybody
That's an
fucking hates water.
achievement.
Yeah,
I'll
you
say
made
that.
a water level that people genuinely enjoy playing. And I genuinely enjoyed my time with Abzu, and
I did too.
I'm like you, Beppe, where I fucking love fish, right? Though my highlight of this game, I mean, not just eating fish, I like, like manatees and fish and sharks and whatnot.
Not eating manatees
Right,
and shark,
oh,
but
geez.
let's
Yeah.
be careful.
The highlight of this game for me was probably riding on the giant turtle.
Oh, me too.
That was so cool. And honestly, one of my nitpicky parts is I could not screenshot while I was riding the turtle.
Oh, I know this game
Darn.
is so screenshotable, and
I don't know
Did
why.
we play it on Xbox?
We did.
For some reason, screenshotting was not very
I don't know if
easy
it was
to
my
do.
I don't know if it was my Xbox
I don't know.
or if it was the game itself, but I tried to get screenshots of me riding the fish and it didn't work.
That's
Okay.
something I'd like to try to do because I don't know how to do it on any console. So,
But don't worry, you can see us riding some fish in the content for the YouTube video. 'Cause
yes,
we did
thank you
record
guys
ourselves
for
playing it.
doing that. We have the actual.
Oh, but I didn't give my grades. I should probably do
Oh,
that.
sure.
actual videos,
So
yeah.
Journey, I would rate an A.
It's an
like
A.
I don't think Journey does anything wrong. And
I just don't know what else I would want from it.
I don't want anything else from Journey.
Yeah.
No.
I think the main difference between Journey and Abzu for me, I would rate Abzu probably maybe a B-.
Yeah.
Because I do like fish and I like the underwater stuff. But what the big takeaway for me is in Journey, I was really rooting and invested in this character. In Abzu, I didn't feel that.
I
I
didn't
was
either.
more invested in the environments
Yeah.
and what you could see
Mhm.
rather than what the character's goal was, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a
But
lot
in
of sense.
Journey, I was invested in this character the entire time.
Yeah.
So
Very
those are my
one-to-one.
grades.
That's well said, Nick. I
Thank you.
agree. Right
Yeah.
on.
And do you guys have any closing thoughts on these two as a whole?
Oh, I actually did have one thing I wanted to bring up.
Sure.
So with games like this, these short 2-hour experiences, a tough part for me is how much am I willing to spend on a game like this?
Yeah, sure.
So with I bought these games both on sale. I think if you look as of today, Journey is very cheap. It's like $6,
Yep.
but Abzu is still about 20.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I saw. I got it on sale for about $7, so that's where I struggle with these games. I admire
Yeah.
the artistic direction and how much their art and everything they try to do, but I struggle with I don't know what these games cost when they came out, but do I spend full dollar on a game that's a 2-hour experience?
Yeah.
That's where I struggle with them.
Well, like I said, I played Abzu on Game Pass,
Yeah.
and it left enough of an impression on me to want to get it again. I think I paid less than 10 for both
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah, I mean, I can go look at my receipt for Journey in 2012. I think it was $20.
Okay.
And I think for speaking for like John and Noah and myself,
Mhm.
it was well worth the price of admission.
Yeah.
It's so hard to put a monetary price on an experience like
Totally.
this. Yeah, I'm gonna.
That's
you know
why I
what?
struggle.
I'm gonna bring up. We should close this down, but I'll bring up this. I mean, dude, I spend $15 on a movie ticket.
That's so true.
You're not going to spend $8 on a game.
Yeah.
You're right.
Even a game that's like a movie.
That's yeah. Honestly, it might be a comparable medium.
Yeah.
Abzu and Journey, they're not like watching movies, but they're cinematic
closer.
in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great point.
They're about 2 hours.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say so. Do you have any final thoughts, Beppe, or should we close this down?
I got nothing.
Yeah. So let's close this down. These are well worth your time. Also, I really want to check out The Pathless, which is the new Giant Squid game. I haven't yet. I really want to.
I guess also hoping that this is maybe not the first indie-ish game episode, but hopefully we do a lot more of these in the future.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
right on. So thank you guys so much. This has been Journey and Abzu, and Goddamn GameCube is signing off for now. Thank you.